Alright, so first off, I looked through some of the files at work yesterday, and I found plenty of papers signed by GM1 Roberts and Lieutenant Burke, and some signed by GM3 Fredrickson. There were also some memoranda and range score sheets and stuff mentioning them, so I know they were real people, and they really worked in my shop. I asked my GM1 about them, and he says he's met GM1 Roberts, but Fredrickson had already left by the time he reported here. I even tried looking up Fredrickson in the Global Address List, which is the database of everyone's Coast Guard email address, but I couldn't find him, which most likely means he's no longer in the Coast Guard. Now, on to the journal entries. January 25th, 2012. Last night, I was woken up around midnight by my phone ringing. There was an SAR case, and the Ready aircraft was returning to base for fuel, and they wanted me to come restock their flares before they departed again. They ended up saving a bunch of fishermen, and even their dog. But I saw him again when I was scraping ice off my truck. I started the engine up to let it warm, and when I started scraping the windshield, that's when I heard footsteps. I turned around, and there he was, coming around the side of the building and walking straight toward me. Like always, I couldn't see him that well, but I just knew it was him. I knew. I had only cleaned off a small section of the windshield, and I hadn't even touched the other windows, but I said fuck it and jumped in and drove off. When I got to the stop sign at the edge of the parking lot, my engine died. I hadn't let it warm up all the way. I tried to look in the mirror to see how close he was, but I couldn't see him through the ice. I got the truck to start back up, but right as I hit the gas, I heard this bang against the back window. I almost crashed turning out of the parking lot. I was so scared. After I restocked the plane, I just wanted to sleep in my car in the air station parking lot, but it was too damn cold. I would have frozen to death. I had to go back to the barracks, and when I got there, he was gone. But I know he'll be back, and I know I'm stuck here with him. January 29th, 2012. I've seen or heard him every night since Tuesday. He's all I think about anymore. Every night he stomps around the hallway, or knocks on my door, or stares at me when I go outside. I haven't been going out much, and I haven't been smoking a lot either. I dream about him. I went to the MAA, the Master at Arms, which is the guy in charge of the barracks, and I told him about everything that's been happening, but he doesn't believe me. He says it's not against the rules to walk around outside or around the hallways, and as far as the ding-dong ditching, there's nothing he can do if he doesn't know who's doing it. This is why I didn't want to talk to him. I know that he would have to be there. He would have to see it. He would have to hear it to realize that something's up. Last night I couldn't sleep, and I laid there for a long time, and then I looked around the room, and I saw two shadows like feet in the light coming underneath the door. It was him. It was 1 a.m. It had to be him. He was just standing there, and I stared at the shadow while he just stood there for 2 hours, and then he walked away. I want to leave. I don't want to live here anymore, but you can't move out unless the barracks are full, and they're not. What am I gonna do? What am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? January 31st, 2012. He's out there right now. I can see his shadow through the crack under the door again. He's out there right now. Okay, he left. February 14, 2012. He only comes at night. The days are starting to get longer. I'm starting to be able to go outside after work, as long as it's light. Summer can't come fast enough. I used to like the snow. February 18th, 2012. I heard a sound in the bathroom. No door opening or water running. Just a soft sound like a footstep. And then I heard my bathroom door move, just a little. Not the doorknob, but the door itself, like someone was leaning against it to listen. I went over to the door and put my ear against it. I could hear breathing. After a while, my leg felt uncomfortable, so I shifted my weight around a little. Then I heard a sound, like something sliding on the carpet. I looked down and jumped back away from the door faster than I had thought possible. The crack between the door and the floor can't be more than a quarter-inch tall, but there was a full-grown fucking arm sticking out of it, all the way up to about an inch past the elbow. It was this disgusting, mottled bluish gray or grayish blue, and it had all these whitish warts or pimples or something. And there was no hair, 5 fingers with filthy dark black nails, and it was just like groping around, feeling around like when you drop something under a desk, but I think it was feeling for my feet. I was so terrified I couldn't even scream. My first instinct was to stomp on it as hard as I could, but I stopped myself. I just knew that the second my bare foot touched that dirty, squishy arm, it would grab my leg and yank me into the bathroom through the crack underneath the door, and that would be it for me. So I just watched it, pressed back against the armoire, sweating. It groped around on the carpet for a long time, sliding left and right, padding around, looking for me. It was the size of a normal adult human arm. The elbow and wrist and fingers looked like they had bones in them, but right at the point where it stuck out from under the floor, it was like pinched or squished, or like kinked in order to fit through the door. After a while, I guess it decided it wasn't going to reach me, because it flipped over, palm facing up, and started reaching upwards towards the doorknob. It couldn't reach, but it tried, squeezing a few more inches of its arm through the narrow crack. Finally, I came to my senses and grabbed the broom, and I smashed the end of it against the bony wrist as hard as I could. But the arm didn't even flinch, so I hit again. After 2 or 3 hits, the hand turned and slapped the broomstick away, and then went back to reaching for the doorknob. I hit it again, and the arm twisted around and grabbed the broomstick and shoved hard, and it slammed the broom into my chest, knocking me back into the armware so hard it knocked the wind out of me. Then it let go, and the broom slid back under the door, squishing down to the sides as it passed through the crack. I know now that I am truly fucked. February 20th, 2012. I can't run. I can't move out of the barracks because they're not full. I can't transfer to a unit off the island because moving me back to the lower 48 states would be too expensive for the government. I can't just abandon my post and run away, because then it wouldn't even have to find me. The US Marshals would track me down for it. I am trapped here with a monster. February 25th, 2012. It won't quit. It stomps around. It waits at my door. Yesterday morning I found the words "I see you" written in the snow on my truck, and when I turned around, it was watching me from over by the shed. I realize it's had dozens of opportunities to get me. Every morning when I go out to my truck, every evening when I take a shower, every time I go upstairs to the kitchen, it can catch me and kill me whenever it wants. It's just fucking with me, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't even keep a gun in my room because weapons aren't allowed in the barracks. I'm totally at its mercy, and we both know it. February 29th, 2012. I finally got a good look at it, and I wish I hadn't. I wish I had never joined the Coast Guard. I wish I still lived at home with my mom and worked at Best Buy, and my biggest problem was saving up enough money to go on a road trip with my best friends. I was watching a movie, and it knocked on the window. I knew it was it, the thing, because it's the only thing that comes to visit me. I ignored it at first, but it knocked again, and again, and again, until it was just knock, 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 knock. I knew I didn't want to open the curtain, but I couldn't stop myself. I expected it to be gone when I opened it. That's just usually the way it goes. It makes noise and then runs off. But it was there. It was there. It was just standing there with its face pressed up against the glass, staring right into my eyes. Its whole body was covered in the same hairless gray-blue, mottled mess of skin as its arm. It was bald, had no nose or ears or nipples or belly button or anything. 2 arms, 2 legs. But the worst part was the eyes and the teeth. They were so ordinary, human. A perfectly straight white set of teeth under 2 normal blue human eyes, twisted into an expression of hatred so intense that I'm sure it's only a matter of time now. It's going to come for me eventually. It wanted me to see it. We just stood there, looking at each other, for maybe a full minute. My breath coming out in pants and gasps. Its breath coming out calmly and evenly and fogging up the window. Then it just turned and walked away. Now that I've seen it, I'm sure of 2 things. 1, it's not a human being. 2, I can't go to anybody for help because no one's going to believe me. If I had a normal job, I could just go, just get in the car and go, never look back. But I can't do that now. The government will find me. I'm stuck here, waiting. March 2nd, 2012. I didn't see or hear it at all last night. Somehow, this worries me more than if I had. March 3rd, 2012. I was right to be worried. I have to replace a few signs at work. I took pictures of them with my phone so I could put them back in the right place. When I went to look at the pictures, I found a video taken on March 1st, and I didn't take it. At first, I couldn't tell what it was. It was dark, and there was a rhythmic rumbling noise. Then the phone moved a little, and I could see it auto-adjusted for the darkness. It was a barracks room. I could barely make it out, but I recognized the bed in the middle of the frame, the window on the right, the armoire on the left. Someone was sleeping in the bed. That was the noise. They were snoring. The phone got a little closer. With the window out of frame, it adjusted again for the darkness, and I could see a little better. It was a man in the bed. I could tell by the haircut, after a few seconds. The man rolled over in his sleep, and I got a look at his face. At my face. It was a video of me sleeping, taken from inside the room, right next to my bed. It has always bothered me outside my room, so I assumed it couldn't get in. I assumed I was safe. It knew that. It probably did things the way it did, so that I would think that. And it took this video with my phone, just to show me that I was wrong, that it can get in whenever it wants to, without even waking me, and it wants me to know that. That must be why it showed me its face, so I wouldn't go to the police. This thing has been playing a fucking game with me this whole time, and it's winning. After the 3rd of March, he stops mentioning encounters with the thing. The next few entries are sporadic, and mostly say stuff like, haven't seen it in a week. What is it up to? Then around mid-April, he starts making regular journal entries about regular stuff again, talking about work, hunting and fishing trips, and so on. Every once in a while he mentions the thing, but only in a passing like, I'm glad the thing seems to have disappeared. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading the journal, and see if he mentions any more run-ins with it. I'm not working this weekend, so I'll be able to post again tomorrow if there's anything else worth posting here. I'll also let you know if my own detective work turns up any